Hallo Kinder, it's tendedtadpolebiz here, and welcome back to episode 2 of my little series of running away from my nice little city. This episode is going to be a bit different than the last one. In the first episode, we actually got some stuff done. We ran away, we went through the portal, and we found where we were going to live and started our mine. In this one, I do work on the mine, and you can see that if you want, but for the majority of this, I'm just going to be telling the story of how I got 2 write-ups in kindergarten. Yeah, I went into explicit detail with it, and not much is going to get done, so this is more just going to be like a funny moments thing. If you want to see actual stuff getting done, that's going to be in the next episode. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Dude, also, whatever happened to that? Dude, even when I was a kid, you could get in a good fight on the bus, rustle some feathers, and then you just go back to being, like, kids or whatever. Nowadays, they, like bring you into the office, and they're like, why are you fighting Billy? It's like, Billy deserved it. It's like, well, use your words next time. Words cannot describe how much of a Billy was being, you know? What?
Didn't in preschool, your brother told you to flip someone off and it meant hey?
Nah, that was kindergarten.
Trouble?
Yeah, fun story for the viewers at home. I got 2 write-ups in kindergarten and almost got suspended because of it. Blast from the past. So what had happened was, my little kindergartner, right, I thought I was tough. And so I walk in there, like, first day. Rule number 1 about being a little brother is you don't ever follow your big brother around, because he's either going to beat your or use you to get you to do for him. So what I did was, I go up to the man, and I'm like, bro, what's good? And he's like, Grant, get the hell away from me, like, you're 6 years old, nobody likes you. And I'm like, bruh, dead ass though, we got the same parents, that's pretty tight, right? And he's like, shut the hell up and leave me alone. And so I wouldn't, obviously, because I'm a little twerp. And he's like, hey, I got this cool thing for you. I'm like, oh yeah? And he's like, you want us to tell somebody you saying, hey, you just do this. And he shows me his hand in a clenched fist. Back of his hand facing me with his middle finger up. I'm like, what's up, dude? That's pretty chill. And so I do it back to him, and he's like, that's exactly it. I'm like, dude, I know what's up. I can hang. And so he shows me that, and he's like, now you got to go around telling everybody you say hi because you're the new kid. I'm like, hell yeah, I can. And so I walk up to a bunch of dudes. I'm like, what's up, dudes? And I, show them the little gesture to say hi. And they're like, dude, are you... And I'm like, what's up, dude? Because they probably thought I was, like, really stupid or, like, had some mental defect. Because, honestly, every kindergartner does at this point. But, I walk up to them like that. I'm like, what's up, plays? And they just brush it off. They're like, this kid's just stupid. And then, oh, I'm not done with this pickaxe. I'm stupid. And then I go around doing it to, like, everybody on the bus. Because, that's right, I was a cool cat. I rode the bus. And then there's this one 5th grader that I did it to. Now, this was, like, the cool guy in the grade. Like, everybody wanted to be him. All the ladies wanted to be with him. You know what I'm saying? He was one of those kind of... Oh, I need...
That guy.
Yeah, he was that guy. And so I'm like,
damn.
Dude, he knows what's up. He was also in 5th grade, so, like, he's seen some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
He's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's pretty tight.
Yeah, he's been
and so I walk up, and I'm like, what's up, player?
He went to Vietnam.
Yeah, he kind of gives me a look like... Bro, you good? Oh, Ty, we have enough... Hold up, we have enough iron. I'm making the chest plate. I'm about to be coolio in the schoolio. Alright, I'm going back down. But I show it to him. He, like, does, like, one of those faces, you know what I'm saying? Where he's like, bro, you good? I thought we were tight and everything. And then I'm going to get off the bus. And I've had a few bus drivers in my day. I had one named Bernie for a very long time, and she was pretty awesome. She was like 80 or something, and she was like...
Was she a transvestite hooker?
That's very offensive.
No, she was like this 80-year-old woman who would like... She would get mad at stuff, but she was also like really nice. So like if you did what you were supposed to, she was real chill. But if you didn't, she always used... You know how they have those like radio things, like intercoms on the bus?
CDs?
That like don't work, you know?
Shut the f up, Ty.
No, you know those ones where it's like, hold on, let me grab some.
It's called a CB, Grant.
It's
You
what?
can't understand.
Yeah, you
the
can't understand
story
anything they're saying.
tie.
That's what she would use, and she'd get, because there were some stupid people that would be riding that bus that she'd have to yell at, and so you couldn't understand her, but you basically just did what you were supposed to when she got on the intercom, and everything was fine. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, he went over. This was a different bus driver, not Bernie, because Bernie was chill. I don't even remember the other lady's name. I only remember like that one lady, but she basically walked up to he walked up to the bus driver, like said something to her, and she kind of gave me a little side eye, and I'm like, "You good, ma'am?" Because I'm respectful like that, and I'm going to walk off, and she's like, "Hold up, little man," and I'm like, "Oh, do we have an issue?" And she's like, I don't even remember the dude's name. It's probably like Bob or something. He's like, "Dude has an issue with what you did, and I'm gonna have to write you up for that." And I'm like, "On a dare? What'd I do?" I feel the need to clarify, I have no idea what on a dare means. It actually is on a dead roach, and I had someone on Xbox named Adrian teach it to me. So if it's something offensive or anything like that, I'm very sorry. I meant no disrespect. Let's continue the story. And she's like, were you doing...
Find his Facebook, locate him, and then kill him.
But I was like, on a
That's the only way you
dare?
can
Did
get
I do
back.
something that bad? And then... So I kind of forgot about that. But, like, the fun story about that was, like, for any of you who are also wild children in the days of riding the bus, if you were the bad kid riding the bus, you got to sit right next to the bus driver. But I was a very talkative individual, so I would just talk to the bus driver the whole time, and they hated me. And so she sent me right back to where I was sitting. Because, the older you are, the further back you get to sit on the bus. So my brother, who was in, like, 3rd grade at the time, was like, he was sitting pretty far back. And so she was like, "Just go sit with him. I can't deal with you anymore." I'm like, "Alright, that's what's up." I'm going to call her, like Janet or something. She was probably like, I'm like, "Alright, what up, Janet? I'll see you around." And she's like, "Shut the hell up. I need to drive this bus."
Full-time soccer mom, part-time bus driver.
Yeah, no, she wasn't that
Go
old. She was like a
Janet.
pretty average age lady. She was just not happy with me.
Full-time soccer mom, part-time bus driver.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's
Doing
her-
it on the
that's her
side.
side gig.
And she's not even doing it for the money. She's doing it because it gives her fulfillment. Anyway, but I don't think anything of it. And so I go back to sitting back there with my brother. I'm like, "Hey, Joseph, what's up?" And he's like, "Shut the hell up. Leave me alone." And I'm like, "Bruh, on a dare, what have I done to cross you like this?" And he really didn't like me. And so one day, after I had moved back, I was sitting next to him. This was on the way home, and I come up, getting all buddy. I'm like, "What's playing, dog?" And he had a little friend that we'll call Tomato. Him and Tomato decide they're going to try and pull a fast one on little Grant. And so what they do is I go to sit down, and I am a smaller individual, so my bag is very large. So I gotta make way for the bag. And so I go to do so, and I feel a finger get pushed into my rear end. I also feel the need to make a clarification here. When I say poked me in the rear end, I mean like he poked my butt cheek, right? He didn't shove his finger at my... So, no, I was not molested on the bus. And I'm like, "Whoa!" Thinking it's Bill Cosby or something. And I turn around,
How did
and
it
it's...
say it was that transvestite Bernie or whoever?
No, you keep Bernie's
Bernie
name out
Sanders
your
are
mouth. Oh, keep Bernie's name
my
out your
dick,
mouth.
Ty.
Bernie was awesome. Don't you ever say anything bad about her. She was great,
Miss
okay?
Wheels was awesome. Did y'all ever know her?
Nah.
That lady was a guy.
But, like, she was awesome, and I liked her, so don't you talk bad about her. But then I feel a finger, like, poked into my rear end, and I'm like, "You good?" Not in, like, a up my butt kind of way, but just, like, in a way to annoy me.
bosom.
Yeah, into my...
The bosom.
into my bosom. And I'm like, "Dude, chill on me." And I turn around, and it's my brother's friend Tomato, and I'm like, "Bruh, not now."
Tomato.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Chill
Get
on
your
me, dog."
Potato out of my roinker, bro.
And I'm like, "Chill on me,
Stinker's
dog."
Off limit, dog.
And so I'm going to, like, sit down again. I'm like,
Jeez.
"Chill on me." I sit down. I'm like, "Tomato, that was kind of weird. You better stop that. You better stop that." And I then feel on my other cheek, to my left, my brother has poked me in the rear. I'm like, dog, what is up right now? This ain't it.
Both of them are gay. It's a coming out story.
No. They're both like giggling and I'm like, bruh, what is happening? And I'm, being the good man that my mother taught me to be, I'm like, I do not appreciate it when you do this to me. And bam, another finger into my face. And I'm like,
Bro,
okay.
how many fingers these kids have?
No, it's like, it's a one little
God,
jab.
shut the f-
you know?
up.
It's a little jab.
Why? Eat an asshole.
Whoa. No, it's a little jab, like a little, like almost like if it was into like your side or something. It wasn't like super long. It was just enough to bug me. And I'm like, stop that. And then I feel one on the other side, and I quickly turn, and I'm like, brother, you need to quit that. And then I feel it again. And so it's like back and forth. I keep turning. I'm like, you gotta stop with this. And so finally, my brother does one, and I turn to say something to him. And I know what's coming, because I'm 6, but I'm like a smart 6, so I know what's up. And so I know the other one's coming, and I'm like, I can either stand here, as Rice Gum once said, I can either stand here and take it like a, or I can, fight someone. And so I'm like, I about to fight some dude. And so Tomato's finger, sure enough, pokes me in on the butt cheek, and I'm like, we about to do this. So I turn and clap his ass and give him a good old smackaroony. And he's like, what? At first he's like, wham, I got hit a little bit. And then he's like, oh, you think you tough, don't you? And I'm like, you better stop that. And he wasn't stopping. And he pokes me in the butt again. And I'm like, okay, about to go hand then. And so I jump from my seat. Now, mind you, it's like a 1.5 foot jump. You know how small bus seats are. But I jump from my seat across the aisle into his. And I just start wailing on the dude. I'm 6 years old. My tiny fists are flying. You know what I'm saying? And just bam, bam, bam,
So
bam.
bigger than a walnut.
Yeah, like bigger than a walnut, exactly. And I start hitting
Benjamin
him.
Button on his.
And at first he kind of giggles, and then he's like, "Oh, this kind of," because when you're a little kid, everything hurts. And he's like, "Ow, this kind of hurts. Ow, this kind of hurt." And then the dude starts crying. I'm like, "Bruh,
Like
you
a
were
bitch.
just trying to pick on me, and now you crying? That ain't tough." And so he starts
He was
crying.
a shrimp.
And I'm like, oh wait, I have more torches. Never mind, I don't need to run. And so I just keep going. I'm still like fighting, and then my brother tries to get me off of him. I like send a fist his way. I don't know if I hit or if I made contact or not. But I'm like fighting these two dudes, trying to get them to quit touching me in the rear end. And so finally, like, Tomato is crying, and I'm like, okay, good. Like, beef's over. And then I sit back down in my seat. I got a little snot running from my nose. Because, I was upset that I was getting touched in the rear end. And so I'm like, okay.
The bosom.
Yeah, I'm like, we done here? And we were done there. And I'm like, that's fine then. And I get off the bus, no problems. The other time the bus driver was like, hey, you about to have to chill for that. And I'm like, bruh. This time, bus driver doesn't say nothing. I get off, no problems. I go inside, life's good, everything's fine. I probably had like, a PB&J that my grandma made me. And I was good, everything was frosty. So come couple weeks later or something, I'm in gym class, right? And like, at least the way our school did it, you had art, music, and gym. Music sucked. And art was only fun on Fridays, because on Fridays you got to do whatever you wanted. The other days, they would make you do stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But in gym, you always got to play games and stuff. And I'm like, this is tight. I want to keep going to gym. And so I was in gym, running around, playing tag, doing whatever I did. I need a new pickaxe. But I was having a good time. And, I see the assistant principal come up. Now, for those of you at home listening, the assistant principal is the one who has to make all the tough decisions about who's getting in trouble or not. And so I see the assistant principal come in and start whispering to the coach. I'm like, damn, sucks to be whoever about to get a talking to from her. And I'm just running around living life. And then I hear like the whistle blow, and I'm like, oh, we about to see something. And they're like, assistant principal needs to see Grant. I'm like, Grant's about, oh shit, I'm Grant. And I'm like, damn. And so I start walking over. I'm like, this about to be it for me. Your boy's about to die. And I start heading over. And I walk out, and she's like, are you Grant? I'm like, nah, I'm Johnny. That's why I came when you said Grant, stupid. And so we go outside, because, like, the gym at our school... Yeah, our school, we had, like, a little lobby outside of our gym with tables and stuff. So we go outside, and we're sitting there. You know, little old me has to, like, hop up into the chair, because I'm tiny. Because, again, I'm, like, 6. And I sit down, and she's like, so, been hearing some stuff's going on the bus. I'm like, what do you mean? Because, again, like, when you're 6, you're living in the moment. And this was, like, 2-3 weeks ago or something. Maybe a month. And so I completely forgotten about it. I'm like, I don't know what you're on. Life's good. Like, I'm playing gym right now. I'm playing a game in gym right now. So, I don't know what the issue is. And she's like... You know, you were doing some stuff on the bus. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she pulls out the old manila envelope with a file in it. And I'm like, what? Because, you know, I'd only... But she pulls out the file. I'm like, oh... Because I'm like 6, so I can't read. And I'm like, this some, you know, CSI Miami going on right here. And so,
Black Ops 1 on you.
Yeah. And so she pulls it out. And she pulls out the little file. And she's like, okay. And she was like, did you flip little Bobby off? And I'm like, first of all, ma'am, I have no idea what you're talking about. Because, again, I have the memory of a 6-year-old. And she was like, you know, what's... Like, little Bobby said that you were flipping him off on the bus one day. And I'm like, what's flipping off? And she was like, it's when you do this. Or when you, like, put up your middle finger and show it to somebody. Or maybe she said, like, were you giving him the finger or something like that. And I'm like, ma'am, with all due respect, I don't know what you're talking about. And then she, like, basically showed me that... She didn't, like, do it at me, but she showed me what the hand gesture would look like. And she was like, did you do this? And I'm like, what does that mean, though? And she was like, it doesn't matter. Did you do it? I'm like, well, yeah, because my brother told me to. And she's like, I don't care. You're in trouble. I'm like, on a dare. So he can tell me to do something, and if I do it, I'm in trouble. That's not very tight.
You slime.
Yeah, and so she's
You
like,
should
you
beat
did
her
this,
up.
you're in trouble now. I'm like, you know, mother always taught me honesty is the best policy. Apparently that was a farce. Because I was honest with the woman, and now I'm in trouble. And so I'm like, that's not very cash money, but you know, whatever. Sometimes you gotta live with it or whatever. And I'm like, but what does that even mean? And she's like, you're getting a write-up now. And I'm like, what's a write-up? And she's like, stupid kid. And so she kind of tries to start explaining it to me. And I do not understand it. She's like, you're in trouble now. I'm like, how am I in trouble? Because, you know, Mama always taught me, if I do something bad, she's going to tell me what I did bad so that I can not do it in the future. I'm like, how am I about to be in trouble for something I don't even know what that means? And so she's like, we're going to call your parents and tell them that you're in trouble. I'm like, but, you know, I thought I had it in the bag because I'm like, I'm not in trouble because you didn't tell me what I did wrong. So, really, I didn't do anything.
Kill
And
someone
so-
and have the same mentality. Just say you don't know what you did wrong.
But, she starts telling me, like, oh, you're in trouble now. You know, we're going to call your parents. I'm like, this ain't going to, you know, me thinking about, you know, for every 6-year-old, it's like, well, that's not fair. And if it's not fair, then you cannot prosecute, you know? So I'm like, you're not about to get me on that. So I'm going to be fine. And then I'm like,
I'm
okay,
head
so
out.
we done here? You know, I'm thinking we're done here. And I'm like, okay, that's whatever. And she's like, no, not quite. She also had to do some, like, paperwork on that one file. And so, like, we were there for quite some time. Like, literally, gym class was done, and she was still, like, making me
Was she
sit there talk
dyslexic?
about it.
How long did it take to fill out paper?
No, I don't know. She was just there doing the paperwork for a bit, and then she's like, okay. And then we also got video of you fighting with a little Joseph kid. I'm like, that Joseph kid share my bloodline. So he was talking funny about me, or he was touching me in the butt, or whatever it was. I think that one I remembered because I was not a fan. And I'm like, okay, so here's what went down. And she didn't care what went down. She's like, I don't care. Did this happen? And I'm like, you got to know the situation, though. And she's like, I really don't care.
Situation.
Yeah. And so she's like, I don't really care what happened. And I'm like, okay, so he about to just do this to me and get no punishment. But because I threw hands back, because that's what you do, I'm in trouble. Funny how the law works. Oh, that was so dangerous. I'm over a bunch of lava right now, and this is terrifying. But, I'm like, how is this even fair? Like, I have no idea what you're on about. But she was like, did you fight him? And I'm like, that's not the whole story. And she's like, I'm not here for story time. I'm here to figure out if you did it or not. And I'm like, well, okay. He was touching my butt. And she's like, I don't want to hear it. Did you do it? And begrudgingly, I was like, okay, fine. I may have done it. And she's like, okay. That's another write-up. If you get one more write-up, you're suspended from school. And you don't get to ride the bus the rest of the year. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. You know, at that point, I thought, you know, show and tell, being fair, everyone being nice, I thought it was all a farce. Because I'm like, I can do the right thing, eat my vegetables, do what mama tells me, and I'm still in trouble? Like, what is this? And so, I may have made a mistake. But I thought it was all a sham, and I'm like, okay, this is just stupid. And so, I'm going back, you know, having an issue. And they called my mom at that point. And I remember going home, because they'd also, I think it was a couple days later, they mailed something home. And they were like, Lil Grant is an idiot. And he has a bunch of write-ups now. He's probably not going to be able to ride the bus if this keeps up. And I'm like, okay, this is not justice, you know? And so it comes home, and my mom gets the letter.
Well, Grant.
Huh?
To be fair, she did go to college to be a teacher, not a lawyer, so she's gonna be a bit.
But I get home that day. Or, you know, probably a couple days later, and I walk in, and I'm like, what's up, morning, noon, and night? Because I was the best thing since sliced bread in my household, or at least I thought so. And so I get home, it was a normal day, I'm like, what's up, everybody? I'm having a good one, life is treating me well, how we all doing? And I go upstairs to, like, play with my toys or whatever.
Depression strikes.
Yeah, I go upstairs to, like, play with my toys or whatever, and come time for dinner, I start heading down, and I'm like, what's up, everybody? And my mom is like, Grant, you got something to tell me? I'm like, I got, oh, mind you, also, a bunch of people have, like, gold stars or whatever. We had this system where you would get, like, red, green, or yellow. Yellow was for, like, Red was for you were a very bad person that day. And green was you were good. I had a good track record of green. Let's just put it that way, okay? And so I come home. I'm like, I did get a green today. And she's like, that's not what I'm asking about. I'm like, I'm out of options then. You're going to have to tell me. And she's like, I got this little thing from assistant principal. And I'm like, oh, yeah, she talked to me about that, but I tried to, you know, I explained it, we're good. And she's like, no, you're not good, you got a write-up. I'm like, Mom, what's a write-up? And she, you know, she's like, this means you did something bad, and if you get too many, you can get kicked out of school. I'm like, that ain't gonna fly. What did I do? And so she was like, this one says you were fighting, like, you know, like the... in court, how they have, like, the legal jargon for it. And they're like, it says you were, you know, roughhousing on the bus or, like, causing commotion on the bus. I'm like, oh, yeah, you mean when I was fighting Joseph. And she was like, you were fighting Joseph? I'm like, yeah, what's the... Because also we're brothers, so we fight all the time. And I'm like, I don't see the problem. I do that anyway. Like, I probably wasn't supposed to at that point in time, but it's whatever. And she's like, you can't be fighting him. She's like, you know, why on earth are you fighting your brother? And I'm like, well, it wasn't just him. And she's like, why were you fighting multiple people? And so I give her the rundown. I'm like, well, they were touching my butt. And I'm like, I ain't about to have that. And so I fought him. And, you know, then she goes, like, red in the face. And she's like, Joseph! And he comes down. He's like, what's the problem? It's like, you got your brother in trouble? And he, you know, he's like, well, really, I didn't do anything. You know, tries to talk himself out of it. I'm like, I'm telling you, I didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, okay, so are we done here? And she's like, yeah, we probably are. And then she opens another letter. And wouldn't you know it, that other letter also has a write-up for me. And she's like, you have got to be kidding me. Grant, why do you have another write-up? I'm like, oh, that old thing? And I go ahead explain it to her. I'm like, well, what happened was... Well, no, she, like, reads it. She's like, you were giving someone a vulgar remark? I'm like, what does that mean? And she was like, you were saying something like a curse word or something? I'm like, I don't do that, Mom. I'm like 6. I don't know anything. And she's like, well, what were you doing? I'm like, I don't even know what I was doing. And then she, like, read into it, and it was like, you gave someone the middle finger? I'm like, first of all, what does that mean? And she's like, what do you mean, what does that mean? You were doing it to people. How do you not know what it means? I'm like, on a dare, Joseph told me to do it, because I got that out of my mouth. And she goes red again, and she's like, you got your brother 2 write-ups. And he's like, well, I thought it would be funny, or something like that. So, bottom line on this, right, I get 2 write-ups. I come home. My mom is pissed. And from the 2 write-ups, my brother got, like, my mom never grounded us because she said that's just stupid because you're just going to cause more trouble. What?
There's 2 creepers around us. So
oh, yeah, but they're in water, so they're fine. But at the end of the day, I got 2 write-ups for being very naughty at school. And at the end of the day, my brother ended up getting punished for both of them because he was the reason I got the write-ups. Well, there you guys have it. That's how I got 2 write-ups in kindergarten and yet didn't get in trouble for either of them. Yeah. Before I let you guys go, I really want to thank you guys. I know I said this in the last episode, but your guys' support on not just the world tour, but also the last episode of it has just been absolutely incredible. We're up to almost 90 subscribers. Like, that's just mind-boggling to me. So I just want to thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. You know, I've started doing these videos like 6 months ago as a little joke for my friends, and I'm just so glad that you guys are watching. So if there's anything that you want me to do further, leave it in the comments down below. If you like the video, I would love a like, and if you haven't already subscribed, I'd appreciate that too. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Tschüss, Kinder.